Hi everyone. I'm going to do a brief video lecture on the stages of group development. It will correspond to the videos that you've watched from Dr. Barol around stages of group development and chaos in groups. There are many different types of groups, and most times as social workers we think about therapy groups or pseudo-educational or psychoeducational groups and support groups as the types of groups that we will encounter as social workers. And while that is true, there are other different types of groups and group dynamics that we're going to see, such as working groups when we're working in interdisciplinary teams, we're working with our colleagues in an agency. You're going to definitely see some group dynamics emerge there. And one type of group that we don't really think of but definitely have some influence on us in terms of group dynamics are our families. In many cases, our original experiences as groups have come from our family experiences. One of the things that we need to keep in mind and we need to remember is that the way we interact and the way we approach groups is based on our past experiences of groups. So if you're answering this question, how do we feel about groups, in terms of, oh, I hate groups, I don't like them, I urge you to think about what your past experiences of groups have been and what some of those negative experiences may be leading you to take into your future and present group experiences. Likewise, if you say, oh, I love working in groups, also consider how positive experiences of groups in your past may be shaping and influencing the way you think about groups now. This is important to consider because ultimately we all strive, even those of us who don't really like groups or prefer to be quiet in groups, to be seen, heard, and known. We want to be acknowledged for our contributions to the group. We want to be heard in terms of having people listen to and respond to our group contributions. And ultimately, we want to be known to have valuable contributions. We want to feel as though when we want to say something in group, or we have something to say about the group project or group experience, that people are going to acknowledge what we're saying, listen to it, and even if they don't agree to it, identify it as a valued contribution. This can be a real challenge for a group leader, and it's important for us to know that right from the beginning, even from the introductions, we need to create a space for everyone to feel as though they're an important contributing member to the group experience. Sometimes this doesn't always happen, and when the needs to be seen, heard, and met aren't experienced, that's when you tend to see people getting frustrated in the group interactions, and that's when you tend to see people shutting down in groups or withdrawing from the group process. Defenses and influences in the group, oftentimes when people don't feel that they're being seen, heard, and known, are going to come across as projection or interjection. What happens often in this case is that people project onto the group leader their frustration with the group process when they don't feel like a space is being created or positive direction is being given. Oftentimes this frustration about their experience of the group is projected onto the group leadership. If we look at this, it's important to understand that we all play an important part in the direction of a group process, not just the group leader. So if you're feeling frustrated about what's happening in the group, and oftentimes you're projecting it onto other members of the group, it's important for us to acknowledge our own responsibility and where the group is moving to, and understand if the frustration that we're having towards a particular member of the group is really more about what the group process is rather than that particular member of the group. Another defense mechanism is introjection, where we take upon ourselves the sense of the group frustration. That maybe we aren't exactly frustrated with the group experience, but because other members of the group are frustrated, we take it upon ourselves. This is a particularly dangerous defense mechanism for the group leader, because you don't want to take on the frustration of the group's process as the group leader and then begin to feel bad about the group or feel that you are not doing a good job in leading the group if people are frustrated with the group experience. Some factors that definitely influence the group process is diversity and culture, and as a group leader it's important for us to understand what those influences are. Oftentimes our experience of being included or excluded or oppressed due to diversity and culture is going to influence and impact your feeling of being seen, heard, and known in the group. If your experience has been that you've been oppressed throughout your history, you may not necessarily feel as though you will be given a fair voice in the group process. And so as a group leader and as other group members, trying to create a space of safety and inclusion that will enable us to value and respect all of the essences and the importance that diversity and culture brings to the group process, and how creativity can be influenced by diversity and culture, and helping us to really create that safe space that embraces the difference in the group, is going to create a positive group experience for all group members. As group leaders, it's important for you to hone the skills of inclusion that help people feel as though they have a space to be seen, heard, and known. And if you create that opportunity for everyone to feel seen, heard, and known, even those whose past experiences may have been negative, or those whose past experiences may have been included in oppression and lack of acceptance of their diversity in the group process, if you can create that space of safety, it will be a positive group experience for everyone. It's important to understand the phases of the group process, and to as a group leader, create a place for you to be able to have self-care, because it's hard to lead groups, and you're going to find that it's often natural for people to want to push blame onto the group leadership when things are going bad. I have on this slide group control. Group leaders are not necessarily always the ones in control. Sometimes you have some silent group leaders who lead through example or suggestion, and that the task and those who are driven to give guidance and leadership for task completion aren't necessarily always the leaders in terms of the emotional elements of the group. So there's oftentimes multiple leaders in a group situation, those who are the quiet, passive leaders who lead through examples, and those who are the task-oriented leaders who lead through delegation. I've included 2 slides here that talk about the things to do in facilitating the group. They're part of the Barol reading, and I recommend that you look at them. Some of them are to do some co-facilitating and make sure that you get some group supervision around, or peer supervision around, leading a group. Groups can be difficult, so anytime you have an opportunity to experience a group or practice a group through co-facilitation, I recommend that you do it. Be kind and gentle to yourself. It's difficult to lead a group, so take the time to develop your skills. Group leadership is definitely something that you will end up doing as a social worker. There are many different phases of the group development: pre-engagement, engagement, and disengagement. If you look at this slide, many different theorists who have looked at the stages of group development have come up with different terminology and ways of calling groups. But whether you call it forming and norming, or initial stages and pseudo-community, it's still the pre-engagement, and people usually are on their best behavior in the pre-engagement stage. By the time you get to the engagement and the working stage, often that is the chaos stage. And chaos happens when people are not feeling seen, heard, and known. So it's important as a group leader to explore and give opportunities for everyone to voice their concerns in the engagement stage. So whether you call it storming and norming and performing, or the resolution and working, or chaos and emptying, chaos happens in the engagement stages, and chaos is a normal part of the group development. It's important for the group leader and all leaders in the group to create a safe space for people to voice their concerns, to voice their opinions, and to feel as though, even if everyone is not agreeing about their opinions, that they're at least being considered as valued contributions to the group dialogue. The last stage, or the ending or termination stage, is contingent upon good emptying and community stages. So if you've created a space of safety and people have had an opportunity to express themselves, the hope is that the termination and separation is going to be a positive experience, and people will move away from your group encounter feeling as though, even though you all didn't agree, it was a good group working experience. So here's just an overview of chaos happens when projection happens, and we move through chaos by allowing a space for emptying and resolving, to move through the defenses, to be able to find a place of progress, and to work through difference in a non-threatening way that gives everyone an opportunity to be seen, heard, and known. Some of this will begin to make more sense when we do the nonviolent communication conversation, but it's important to understand that chaos is a normal part of group development, and that as long as we create a safe space for communication that includes nonviolent communication, we can work through our differences and create a community where we are all seen, heard, and known as valued contributing members to the group process. If this happens, the hope will be it will be a positive termination and closure experience. I hope this has made some sense of and has contributed to your understanding of the Barol article. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask me. I think Ask the Instructor is the best place to voice those kinds of questions, because then everyone will have an opportunity to hear and see what questions are and how I respond to them. Be sure to look at all of the videos for this week, including the ones from Dr. Barol, and I will be giving you an update very shortly on the process notes that I have been grading. Take care. I look forward to talking to you soon.